Gentlemen, when it comes to feeling your absolute best, maximizing your vitality, and just feeling overall awesome, we have 4 key steps for you. So if that sounds interesting to you, stay tuned because today's show is going to be awesome.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Dr. Angela Yeagley.
I am Barry Napier. I almost said Dr. Barry.
Oh, right. We're working on that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Welcome to Sage Health TV. So super excited today about this topic. We see a lot of men here. I would say it's probably 40% of our practice. And so we definitely, there's certain things that can be amazing just for men, right?
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. Obviously a lot of spillover biologically between men and women, but there's certain treatments that we go deep on that are for women, right?
Yes.
Certain treatments that we go deep on for men. And today we want to talk about kind of vitality, energy, that feeling of aliveness for guys. Because there's some things that we've been doing, for guys out there for a long time. And then specifically, there's some stuff we've been experimenting on me with that have been really effective. And so we want to make sure we share some of the things that are working well for guys out there who want to feel their best.
Absolutely. Love experimenting on Barry. He does great with that. So, okay, starting out, really when I have a guy coming in saying that he's not feeling super vital, he has low energy.
Maybe a low libido.
Low libido,
Yep.
definitely, yeah. So we look at hormones. So here's the list, and I kind of want to explain why I would choose these. So free and total testosterone, we definitely want a free, which is your active testosterone, right? Total is a combination. Your total can look great because it also combines inactive testosterone, but you have low active. So make sure you get that distinction. We want in men an ultra-sensitive estradiol, which is a form of estrogen in men. So men have estrogen too. Actually, you make that. It can be an issue. It can be like a buzzkill. Like if that estrogen is too high, it can make you feel too sensitive. Usually, that's
it can also have some physical ramifications.
Yeah.
It can have some kind of, there's some stuff that can start happening in your body.
Fat deposition in the chest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we don't want the estrogen. Needs to be lower. It needs to be in range for a man. DHEA, this is adrenal. This turns into estrogen and testosterone. And again, we just want to optimize it. We just want good levels of DHEA, right? It's going to help. Cortisol, so that really, we don't want it too high, but we don't want it too low. So you're going to be tired, actually, if it's always running on the low end. So cortisol is the one that you wake up in the morning and you're like, should be like, woo, getting out of bed, ready to take on the day.
A lot of things can impact the cortisol.
Yeah.
Stress, lifestyle,
yeah.
Alcohol, food. We'll talk about some of these things, but all that can impact and dysregulate cortisol, right? Which can have the cascade effect on your energy and that.
Absolutely. So it's a separate thing kind of outside of testosterone and these others that we really need to get looking good for you. So free DHT, so that is dihydrotestosterone. That one actually, we don't want it too high. So if you're converting a lot into DHT, that can be what somebody like a man who maybe does, has tried testosterone, but feels super irritable, or gets a little angry with it. So we want to check that and address it.
Get the roid rage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that needs to be on the list. And then here's thyroid. So thyroid gland is right here. Part of the thing that it does is gives you energy, stamina. It does a whole lot more. It helps with cholesterol and body fat, like processing, things like that. So we just want to make sure it looks really good. If you're not feeling vital, this could also be a piece, right? So we want a TSH at a minimum, free T3, free T4, and then homocysteine. So those are B vitamins. I can't tell you how many people come in here and they're very B vitamin deficient. And usually, unfortunately, I feel like we definitely want to do whole foods and that's going to help, but a lot of times that's not enough to kind of, especially with all the stressors we have in our life, to really cover us, in our nutritional optimization. Right.
Yeah, there's a difference between bare minimum then, right, and really what your body needs to thrive.
Yes.
And I just want to say too that as we get into this topic, if you as a man are not feeling great and you feel low energy or that low life force or low sex drive, it's like that's not how you should feel, right? So it's okay to get help, and it's okay to recognize that and take care of yourself and recognize there's all kinds of ways for you to get help. But it starts with some testing to determine what's going on with your unique chemistry as then it fuels into your energy and just your mental clarity and all of those types of things. So first step is always testing and optimizing is that hormonal level. Think of that as a baseline level.
Yeah, we need to know what we're dealing with, right?
And then from there, we like oftentimes can go directly into testosterone as it's one of the main, it's the main hormone for guys, you know, like everyone thinks about.
And the percentages, like as a whole in the U.S., are not good.
They're not good.
Yeah, they're pretty low. I mean, now I think it's around 40% of U.S. men have, lower levels of testosterone. Some of the studies actually are higher than that, and I see that when I have men and I'm checking, so many men have low levels, and I think that's possibly a product of just kind of our stressful, kind of work, life balance. There's a lot going on.
I think there's a lot that can go into low T for guys. Yeah. And I know that I personally have gone through a period of my life where I had very low T. And ironically enough, it was the period of my life where I was the fittest I'd ever been. Oh, wow. I was an absolute fiend for CrossFit and paleo. I was like a carb Nazi. I'd like slap carbs out of people's hands. And I did that for a long time. And it was hardcore, it was extreme. But I was shredded, very, very fit, eating exceptionally well. And yet, when I finally, I wasn't feeling great. Over time, I was like, I'm not feeling great. My libido sucked. My energy sucked. My workouts were dragging it. I knew something was wrong, right? Even though I was doing everything right. And I finally got my T levels measured. And I think I was in my mid-30s at the time that I was going through this exact thing. And my T levels came back like I was a 96-year-old man. They were so low. Oh my gosh. My lifestyle was so extreme. My workouts were I was working out 6-7 days a week. I was underfueled. I wasn't eating carbs because I was a psycho. I was living on for years. I had been in this paleo keto world. My body had just crashed out hormonally. It was not supported. And that's when I started some testosterone therapy, and that did help. And I was able to make some lifestyle changes and was able to transition off of testosterone therapy, and my body's able to pick it back up. But I just want you to know that, sometimes we think that, I'm not in the place I want to be maybe physically, or I'm not in the best shape of my life, or maybe I'm working too much, or I'm at a desk job so I could get having low T. But on the flip side, you could be working out all the time and living pretty healthy and still feeling like something's not right, and it could be your testosterone. So I just want to say it could be, that whole range. It's really powerful to know and needed to know as a man what's going on with your testosterone function.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you said that, because absolutely, I mean, definitely you're capturing those men that are like, I'm fine, I'm working out, I'm doing really well. It's not the testosterone. And I love, part of that is, again, it was a physical stress. And who knows, maybe at that time too, you had some mental stress going on, right? That is it will lower your levels, right? So again, if you're super fit, doesn't matter, right? Come in.
Yeah, and if you find yourself in a spot where you're overweight or you're underactive, and your food is not where it needs to be, then a lot of times, of course, that's going to feed into a testosterone issue as well, amongst other stuff.
Well, what's interesting in the studies is that they show that men can reverse it, with just kind of bringing stress down. Maybe they're not going to get it to the top end of the range, but actually you can significantly shift testosterone levels with their studies on deep breathing, on meditation, right? So
some of our treatment options.
Oh yeah, treatment. So maybe we'll come back here, but and talk about just kind of some signs of low T.
Yeah, so how do you know if you have low T?
Yeah,
I mentioned energy, mental clarity, workout sucking, low sex drive, other.
So insomnia, actually depression, just having low mood in general, or again, just kind of you feel less vital, like Barry was saying just I just don't have the energy.
You maybe just feel blah.
Yeah, you just feel blah.
Don't care about anything.
Right. Yeah, definitely testosterone. For men, testosterone is so important for the brain. So important to be for mood. Really, there's a very strong correlation. So
motivation, hard to get out of, how to go do stuff, hard to get to the gym, hard to do that extra effort. All that stuff would be indicative, like erection issues, right? So if you're having some ED, that can also be a T issue.
Yep, absolutely. And then sleep issues, as well as seeing a decrease in muscle mass and strength, and bone loss. Interestingly enough, if it stays low too long.
Feeling weak.
Yeah, feeling weak.
Empty, hollow inside. I felt all these things.
what do we do then? What are your options? So we're going, some people we're going to talk about testosterone therapy, but again, meditation, deep breathing, trying to bring stress down. If you can, if you're in the phase of your life that, you're like, maybe you have small kids and then it's not possible to bring the stress down.
And there's simple ways to do this. And this is where obviously we work with creating a customized plan for you and finding some really specific strategies that can fit into your life, into your lifestyle. Because I'm a big believer that no matter how busy you are, whether you're executive of a giant corporation or you're your dad, full-time dad or whatever, and all the stuff you have that you're dealing with in your life, I'm a big believer, and I know personally firsthand experience from working with people in those positions and for myself being exceptionally busy, having kids, that we can find ways to fit some of these different therapies into your life in a way that's really doable, but also produces meaningful results.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
When you hear something like, meditation, don't meditation, I'm not going to meditate, I don't have time to meditate. There's simple things like sleep meditations, very short meditations, pre-workout, post-workout meditations, morning meditations that are short and very effective at just grounding you, some breathing stuff. So, don't be dismissive of maybe something like this just because it's something you either haven't tried or you've tried in the past and it hasn't stuck. That's where we come in to figure out how we can get it to fit into your lifestyle.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. Stay open to things that might be a little new to you. Exercise, diet, typically diet going. We'll talk more about this in a second, like becoming more whole foods, any sort of exercise, anything, any movement, any cardio is going to help those hormone levels come up. And then really DHEA supplementation. So for men who are like, I'm not ready to do testosterone, you can do DHEA. Usually
precursor.
It's a precursor, right? 25 to 50 milligrams, something like that. But you do want to measure it. You want to track it because you can go high pretty easily. And then testosterone therapy. Like, what are your options? You can do a topical, you can do an injection. There are pellets too, that we don't do the pellets, but that is an option.
I don't recommend you work with a men's health clinic. So they're very scammy. They're super low level in terms of looking at you holistically. So when I first went down this path years ago, I ended up at a men's health clinic, and I just really think they're T-pushers. And so I would definitely not recommend it. Absolutely. And I would not recommend going to see your regular MD on this either, because again, it's looking at oftentimes a very narrow range of what's going on with the overall issue. And you just got to go deeper. So highly recommend going deep and holistic on this particular topic and not going into a situation where you're not going to have somebody looking at the complete picture.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, absolutely agree. And when we're looking at testosterone therapy, many times it depends on the man, right? Like the dosing, where we end up landing really does depend on the man, but also it's kind of like how you feel along with what your numbers look like. Now, you're right, like the men's clinics, they're looking for a number, right? They do want to push you to the top end of that range, and really you might not need to be there actually.
Or you might be there and it might not be working because there's other things going on. And they're just looking at this one particular thing.
Yes. And there are potential side effects of testosterone, which come up more like the more that you use it. So those things have to be managed. Yeah,
like the higher end range or over range, and where people are like, looking to really maximize the positive impacts of testosterone. Again, just find somebody, a practitioner who's very holistic and comprehensive.
Right. Because we want to dial it in. What's the best regimen for you? Maybe it's a shot every 14 days, maybe it's every 10 days. I have a man on one every 7 days, but we've dialed in his dose where it's not, too extra, right? Mm-hmm. So his side effects are minimal, and he feels great with that dose. And numbers look good as well, right? So it's that combination. I would say a lot of men definitely feel better when they're reaching halfway of normal.
Halfway normal is where I definitely saw an increase in my energy and various other stuff.
Yeah, and then sometimes up to that 3/4 range, right? So even just that, you don't have to push all the way to the top to get some really nice benefits. And then the opposite of all the issues we were talking about, like increase in, energy, libido, drive. And that's not just sex drive, but actually the drive to do things.
Ambition, right? Motivation, your willingness to say yes to stuff. Projects at work, projects at home. It's like, your partner's wife or whoever is wanting you to put the cabinets up in the kitchen or whatever the thing is, and it just seems like a daunting, overwhelming task. Right. normalized levels of T, all of a sudden these tasks you have this ability and drive to figure I'm going to go get this done. So I definitely think there's a connection to that. I'm going to go get stuff done, feeling, and your T levels.
Yeah, absolutely. I see it again and again with people as we're going through the therapy. Well, maybe just because we're probably getting into a longer video, we'll kind of be, So I just want to say, optimize your vitamins. Like, so many people, I mean, when I do testing for people that have really never seen holistic practitioners or naturopathic doctors or functional medicine doctors, I mean, everybody's walking around so low. I mean, of everything, not just the B's, but minerals, and we need all of these things to help us with our thyroid, help us with our adrenals, help to make hormones, right? So we want to test, I want to see those levels, and then we want to optimize them.
Yeah, besides, looking at hormones, I think the vitamin piece, and then looking at IV nutrient therapy, obviously, we're giant fans of.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a huge believer. My number one recommendation for all guys out there is that you have the means to get yourself into a regular and consistent IV nutrient therapy regime with some glutathione. And more recently, I've been hitting the NAD. Oh, man. Transformational. That oven by itself will make a huge difference. So
it's pretty incredible stuff.
Yeah, once a month or twice a month, ideally every other week is something you'd be getting that done. That's like all the switches get flipped with that. So highly recommend.
Definitely. I was going to say game changer, but that's
right. Yeah, and then obviously we mentioned diet, nutrition. Yeah. That's obviously a huge part. And so that's a whole separate deep topic we could go into, but you have to find an approach that's going to work for you and something that's going to give your body the right nutrients, the right support for your level of activities and the particular goals you have. That's also going to support your hormonal function as well.
Absolutely. So healthy fats, definitely whole foods, fruits, vegetables, right? Healthy proteins.
Healthy carbs.
Yeah, healthy carbs. And Barry's now back on the carbs.
I've been on carbs for a long time. But so healthy carbs.
Healthy carbs. And yes, and if you would like help or any guidance in this area, I'd love to see you here at Sage. Fortunately, Barry is not seeing people at this time.
There's other ways I can help. Medical issues over here.
I can always send a message to him though if you had a question. Yeah. So love if you would also follow, subscribe. That means a lot to us. Click all the buttons. That would be great. And definitely reach out to us if you have questions or if you'd like to make an appointment. I'd love to see you. All right. Thanks for joining us.
Catch you in the next one.
See you next time.